This week on the Wildcat Report, a local teen stuns LA during Fashion Week, while Millard West athletics are battling unpredictable Midwestern weather.
The second dodgeball tournament inflicted pain and rivalry on all who participated, while seniors are fighting their own disease, so-called senioritis.
Despite the homework, seniors are still excited about their futures. What will you be doing in 10 years?
And show choir makes a trip to Chicago for their first national competition.
Hi, I'm Bailey Netsch.
I'm Austin Walenz. Welcome to the Wildcat Report.
It's hard to believe that the 2013-2014 school year is already so close. DECA wants to inform returning students of the new Wildcat Crazy t-shirt contest. Remember only 3 to 4 colors in your design, and make sure to turn them into the scratching post by May 17th.
An 18-year-old in Omaha does little more than design t-shirts. After creating and sewing her own fashion line, she got invited to show at LA Fashion Week.
After 2 successful Omaha Fashion Week shows, Caitlin Fitzgerald earned an experience of a lifetime.
That's what stood out, was just her collection. It made a story, and I feel that every designer should always be telling a story.
And Caitlin's story is unique. A 17-year-old from Omaha, Nebraska jumped on a plane, flew to California, and started a journey.
When I told people that I was 17, that created quite the reaction with them, and then when they found out I was from Omaha, that made the reaction even more like, whoa, you're from Omaha and you're 17.
She also had to deal with something not common in Omaha, the fashion media. Caitlin had her first big interview 15 minutes after landing in Burbank, California.
Yeah, that's fine. Am I looking at the camera?
And then she had just a few more.
Caitlin Fitzgerald, I'm the designer for Creative Blue. It was pretty nerve-wracking being interviewed by all the people because I know they've interviewed so many people before and I wanted to impress them.
She had to put aside the newfound fame and focus on what she was there for.
After being asked to show in LA Fashion Week, in preparation for that I had to create 2 new looks to go with my collection. I had to work out the music so the timing was right, and I had to work with the DJ to give that to him. I was in charge of all the RSVPs that I got, and then I had to make the seating arrangement for the day of my show and actually decide where I wanted each person to sit. I worked with 2 people in LA, and they were the ones that actually chose the models for me. They had a whole model call where hundreds of models came, and they chose the best ones that they thought would suit my collection and go with my aesthetic the best. And then once we got to LA, we had a whole day full of fittings with the models, and we just tried on a bunch of different pieces on each girl to decide which piece looked best.
2 of Caitlin's models are pretty well known. Sisters Brittany and Madison Brown claimed a lot of attention during the LA Fashion Week shows.
Brittany was on this past season's America's Next Top Model, the college edition, and she actually got pretty far in America's Next Top Model.
Despite Brittany's personal success, she still thanks Caitlin.
Kay is such a fabulous designer. She's only 17 years old and so talented. I feel like a little princess in this dress, a little French princess, and I think she's incredible. Her designs, such detail and hard work obviously went into them, and I feel so blessed that I got to walk with her in LA Fashion Week.
Returning to backstage, Caitlin still had a lot of work to do on the morning of her show.
During LA Fashion Week, I was most impressed by the backstage area. It was huge, and they had people who were assigned to work just for me backstage. All of the makeup and hair teams were backstage with us, so that was very nice to be able to have the models get ready there at the location instead of having to transport them back and forth.
As she took in her new environment, Caitlin also had some fun while she was backstage.
We were just sitting there and we were eating pizza, and we were the only ones eating in the whole entire area, and we asked people if they wanted any, and they looked at us like we were crazy, like, no, you guys are actually eating, like, we don't do that here. So that was really interesting. I think people thought we were crazy.
Suddenly, the time crept up to Caitlin.
Right before my show went on the runway, or my collection went on the runway, during LA Fashion Week, I really realized how big of a deal it was, and then I got really nervous. I was really nervous for how the audience would respond to the collection because I realized that their opinion was really the one that mattered. My hands were shaking. I remember we walked out and we were holding hands. I think she thought I was just a nervous wreck.
Despite so much going on, Caitlin can still point out her favorite LA memory.
This man came up to me and he was like, "Oh my gosh, you're Caitlin. You're the designer for Kate Blue." And I was kind of just standing there like, "Yeah, that's me. Like, how do you know who I am?" And he was another designer showing that day, and he was like, "Oh, I love your collection. You're so inspiring. I think it's so awesome that you're a designer at such a young age." And he was just like giving my collection all this praise, and I was standing there like, how do you know who I am? Like, I didn't know that people actually knew me.
Some people do know Caitlin and her line Kate Blue, but she's looking to make her name more well-known. Next year, she will be attending Parsons School of Fashion Design.
Some of you may know it because that is where Project Runway is filmed. So when you watch Project Runway and you see all the designers sewing away, that's actually in the Parsons classroom, so I'll be taking classes next year.
You may see her in the background of Heidi Klum's hit show Sooner Than Later, but make sure you're looking for her name on the rack. This has been Bailey Nates reporting.
On to sports. Cross country is having a mandatory meeting at 7:20 on Tuesday, May 14th. Team sign-up and summer camp info will be provided.
And hopefully cross country does not have to deal with the erratic weather that the spring athletes have. Faith has their outlook on the rest of the season.
They say April showers bring May flowers, but Nebraska weather this spring has been anything but that. May has experienced almost all 4 seasons within 1 month. Snow, rain, and ice swept through many of the states in the Midwest, covering Nebraska on May 2nd for the first recorded snowfall in May since 1967. The weather has become a slip in the road for high school spring sports, shortening their season.
This is my 33rd year of coaching, and this is probably the worst spring I've ever seen.
The weather has been really icy and rainy and wet, but we've had to run in it anyways, and it hasn't been treating us very well.
Despite the dark, cloudy, and rainy skies, the Millard West athletes have taken their practice elsewhere rather than outside. With more than 700 athletes out for a spring sport, practice space inside is minimal. Sports such as baseball have not been able to have one outdoor practice yet this season, with state right around the corner, while golf is unable to practice due to weather.
We've had to work inside a lot, and with baseball it's kind of hard using the gyms instead of the dirt.
We are practicing inside on the tennis courts, so we set up nets so we can do volleys and serves, and then we also hit against the walls.
120 spring activities have been canceled this year. Since canceling these events, the school has lost within $50 to $200 per home event, a dramatic decline since last year.
Last year we started like 3 weeks earlier outside, and we were a lot farther ahead last year than we are right now, but hopefully we can fix that.
Our meet schedules have been really inconsistent because the weather's been tough, but the guys have done a good job of coming to work every day, and we like where we're at actually.
It's difficult to find people that want to work because they never know what the weather's going to be, and they don't want to sit outside for 2 hours when it's 30 degrees.
Weather hasn't only affected their schedule, but also affected the way the teams go about their meets or games. But the Millard West spring athletes won't let the weather rain on their parade.
It's cutting a lot of our games. Haven't been able to play as much competition, so we won't be as ready coming into state, but a lot of other teams will be the same way as we are.
These coaches and kids are smart enough, they're strong enough to realize that it's affected everybody across the state the same way. So, but I think if anything, it reduces the number of opportunities that kids can compete against live competition, and that may be of a hindrance. So that's why practice is extremely important, and making the most of competition and excelling and doing the very best you can on game day.
We pulled really good times so far, so once the weather warms up, we're only going to get better.
It's just hard to get in a groove or a rhythm because you're always inside or outside. You can't really get in that flow I like to get in. We have to wear a bunch of layers and get heat warmers. That helps with their hands and everything like that.
Not being on courts has been kind of hard for us because obviously that'll give us better practice, you know, practicing against each other. So I think it's affected us a little bit, but practicing inside can do just as much.
It's really affected the way we go about some things defensively. Our defense has hurt us at times, and then and hitting has definitely been affected because of the cold. I don't think it's conducive much for anybody to really hit when it's as cold as it's been.
My arm's not in as good a shape as it should be because not outside throwing, can't throw as long in the gym.
Not all athletes are taking the weather as a big loss, but others, such as seniors, are seeing their season trickling away due to Mother Nature's calling.
I try to keep a positive attitude towards the match.
This is my last year running for Millard West, and it's really sad that I don't get to run in all the meets, but it is what it is. I can't really control the weather.
I feel bad for the seniors because they really get a short season and they didn't get the contest that they should have been given.
Despite the delay of spring sports the weather has caused, there's no question that these Millard West athletes are on top of their game. Whether they're kicking a soccer ball or swinging a tennis racket, no freezing temperatures or snowfall will steal the thunder of these dedicated athletes. I'm Faith Cain, and this is the Wildcat Report.
The Lemon Walk for Childhood Cancer was moved indoors due to the weather, but this did not affect the outcome.
I'm actually really happy with the turnout. We weren't expecting too many just because of the rain and the poor weather, but we've had a lot of people here and it's really cool.
The event raised just over $1,200 and will be donated to Alex's Lemonade Stand in Evan Sharp's honor.
Thankfully, Key Club's dodgeball tournament was already scheduled indoors. Momo has more on the winning team and the crazy outfits that filled the gym.
Key Club's second annual dodgeball tournament was held April 26th this year. The competition was tough.
In the weeks before our tournament, we've been preparing at the YMCA, playing dodgeball, just preparing, like catching balls and stuff, dodging them.
They weren't the only team to come prepared.
Girl, look at that body. Girl, look at that body. I work out when I walk in the spot. This is what I see. Everybody stops and is staring at me. I'm ready to show it, show it, show it, show it. I'm sexy and I know it.
There was a lot of rivalry between the boys teams because they made it to the very end of it.
Going into the tournament, we knew there would be some tough teams like Dodgy Style, the Dream Team, but we thought we had a pretty good chance of winning going in, so we just kept a positive attitude during the whole thing.
Last year, Key Club gave the funds to the March of Dimes. This year, they found a new organization.
All the proceeds go to the Millard Backpack Program.
The Millard Backpack Program is a service of the Feeding America campaign. Although it is across the country, the dodgeball tournament proceeds focus mainly on Millard students. According to the Feeding America website, more than 18 million students receive their meals for free or reduced prices through the National School Lunch Program. The Backpack Program is specifically for those students during the weekends.
We got to the final round and I just all the pressure was gone because we made it to the finals. And then once we won, it was awesome.
After completing multiple games, the Purple Cobras came out to be the victors of the dodgeball tournament. The tournament raised around $710. As Patches O'Houlihan said, if you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. This has been Momo Zepka with the Wildcat Report.
The annual Mr. Millard West competition was held Saturday, May 3rd. The evening was full of videos and laughs. Owen Bailey came in second place and won the T.J. Good Scholarship, while Christian Yost came in first and won the title of Mr. Millard West.
Everybody watch! You smell this? This is awesome.
All of the senior boys in Mr. Millard West have one thing in common, despite their different personalities.
Senioritis. With a week and a half left, all the seniors can feel the pain dragging on.
Hi, I'm Zarmina Niazie, and this is the Wildcat Report. Senioritis is a term that has become synonymous with end-of-the-year slackerdom for outgoing seniors. The College Board, who presides over AP testing and college entrance examination, even has tips for keeping seniors on track through the end of their senior year. As graduation day and our futures get closer, the days of endless studying exist in the past. At least, that's what students with senioritis think. And Millard West students are no strangers to the affliction.
I used to think that senioritis wasn't a real thing, but then I became a senior, and especially at the end of the second semester, it has become really hard, and I do definitely now think that senioritis is a real thing.
Not only has Reed's opinions on senioritis evolved from last year, but his schoolwork habits have as well.
I used to go home right away and do my homework so that I'd get it out of the way, but now I end up going home and watching TV or wanting to hang out with my friends. If my homework gets done, then it gets done, and if it doesn't, then it doesn't.
Much like Reed, senior Uday Sawajid struggles with his senior year schedule, consisting of Algebra 2, Civics, and Intro to Drawing.
High school is coming to an end and I'm done with it, so. Actually, as I became a senior, I started doing more of my homework because I got to graduate. But I still slack off a lot. I miss a lot of school. I don't come to all my classes, show up late, because I'm a senior.
Another Millard West senior echoes the lax sentiment regarding schoolwork.
If I don't even turn in an essay for a class, I don't sweat it. I say I have it, but really I'm just lazy. I mean, life isn't going to give you an excuse just because you're a particular age.
Katie doesn't attribute all the indifference to senioritis, believing that teachers and high school plays a part in propagating the symptoms.
They kind of treat you like children, but they still have like the expectations that you would of as like a college student. It's just that dichotomy is really frustrating, and hence the apathy.
Senior Karen Hutton doesn't think the ailment will rear its ugly head next year, where she will be enrolled at Iowa State University.
I don't think senioritis will carry over to college because I'll be more dedicated to doing something I'm actually interested in rather than taking classes that aren't necessarily my passion.
Millard West counselor Vicki Munoz has learned quite a bit about senioritis over the years, deeming it more of a state of mind than anything else.
We have seen it in a case where students have dropped all of their core classes or failed all of their courses. So it's something that does happen from time to time.
Millard West, says Munoz, works with all their students and their parents to ensure they graduate no matter the circumstances.
But if a student fails a class that would impact their graduation, then we try to find a summer course that a student can get into right away so they can graduate at the end of the summer.
English teacher Karen Palmer is familiar with the concept of senioritis and its victims because she teaches contemporary literature, which is a mostly senior class.
They're anxious, they're ready to leave, and with that comes some trepidation where they're excited for the new change, yet it's not quite the comfort zone of the securities they've had for the last 18 years. I think it's very human for them to kind of want to be a little bit less attentive.
As a senior, I myself have come down with a bout of senioritis. I don't do all my homework, I don't come to school all the time, and I guess I get distracted easily. Back to you in the studio.
As the seniors try to look past these last couple days, they see their futures.
I asked some seniors where they see themselves in 10 years at this critical point in their life. After graduation, most Millard West students go on to college. Picking their future career is not an easy decision.
In 10 years, I hope to be a doctor and hope to be living in a pretty nice house in a bigger city than Omaha.
10 years, I want to be a writer.
I have a 5-year plan. 5 years. A 10-year plan. Then I will teach. Yeah.
I can see myself being an art teacher or living with a bunch of hippies in a
of being in California?
In 10 years, I'll hopefully be owning one of my own restaurants or being a chef at an executive place or something. That'll be about it.
In 10 years, I want to be working in a recording studio.
I hope in 10 years I'll be landing a job in like a big advertising company.
Hopefully I'll have a family. We'll start with that one. Hopefully I'll be graduated out of college by then. Hopefully that'd be nice.
In 10 years, I want to have a family.
In 10 years, I want to be doing a job that I genuinely enjoy going to.
In 10 years, I want to be working with college athletes.
There's some lucky students who finished their AP testing last week, but if you're in week 2, get ready. Make sure you know your room and time that your test is being administered in.
Double check that your test is at Millard West as well, because some of the bigger tests this year have been moved to Tiburon.
And moving away from bubble sheets and essays, show choir just returned from a packed weekend trip to Chicago. Here's Marissa with the reason why.
The 2012-2013 show choir season both started and ended with a bang. For the first time in Millard West show choir history, both Uptown Girls and West in the Groove qualified for nationals. Held at the Airy Crown Theater in Chicago, Illinois, both groups successfully held their own against the best show choir groups in the nation.
We were all so happy because we didn't think we were going to get to go, and it would have been our first year going, and we really wanted to support the Uptown Girls, so we were happy about that.
There was lots of screaming and lots of crying and happiness, and I don't know, it was really exciting to find out like we're good enough to be at the national competition.
Receiving a 3 a.m. wake-up call from a teacher isn't the way most students would want to start their day. But for Millard West show choir participants, this is the way their morning began on the day of nationals.
Saturday morning, we got the wake-up call from Mr. Bjornson at 3 a.m. and we got ready, and Uptown had to be hair and makeup ready and in our costumes by the time we got on the bus at 5. And we went straight to warm-ups, and Uptown performed at 7. And then we had the rest of the day to ourselves, and we slept on the floor. We watched groups, and they were really, really, really good.
Before you can become a star, you have to believe. Ladies and gentlemen, under the direction of Zach Bjornson, the Uptown Girls!
After 32 years and over 300 competitions and performances, Kathy Simpson will be stepping down as director of Millard West Show Choir. In the 2013-2014 school year, Simpson will be watching from the audience as Zach Bjornson takes over the reins.
I'm going to miss being with the kids. For 32 years, I have spent hours with students, and own children grew up around high school kids. The 2012-13 Swing It's a home for me. I've always felt very comfortable being with high school students and sharing my wishes for them and seeing them grow. So I miss that.
You get to know everyone and you get a close bond, and since we're here pretty much all the time, it's the family outside of our own family.
It's really sad to see her go because we call her mom. Like, that's how close we are to her, and so it's really hard to see her not be able to be our director anymore, but it'll still be really good with Mr. Bjornson taking over.
For many years, Kathy Simpson has put her heart and soul into the Millard West Show Choir department. Besides putting on shows sure to leave lasting impressions, Kathy Simpson wants nothing more than to teach her kids skills that will last forever.
Confidence, ability to be up in front of people, an ability to appreciate arts when they go out and see something being done by realizing the amount of rehearsal and talent that it takes to put on things.
I've always looked up to her ever since, even when I was in middle school, I was so excited to be with her, and she's done a lot with this school, and it's just, she's a great person.
They're the bomb!
Even though Mr. Bjornson is taking over the show choir department, Miss Simpson will still be involved in the Millard West music department and will always be in the hearts of her past and present students. This has been Marissa Domalakes reporting.
Millard West Debate had an incredible season. They received first place at state for the 4th time in a row.
We needed to win some crucial rounds, and we did, so I was absolutely thrilled when we won it for the 4th year in a row.
Next year they are hoping for the same, but they will have to say goodbye to their Educator of the Year coach, Fred Robertson. Tim Royals will be taking over his legacy next school year. As the weather gets nicer and the school year comes to a close, don't forget your English class's summer reading assignments. Honors 10, AP Language and Composition, and AP Literature all require it.
Look at the daily announcements for each class's meeting times before the last bell on the 29th. That's all we have for you guys today. I'm Bailey Netsch.
I'm Austin Walenz.
And this was the Wildcat Report.